In your last outing, you had a really impressive performance against Michael Hill. Obviously, that got Bellator's attention. So now you're on a card with another mercenary, but you're not fighting the mercenary. You're fighting an undefeated fighter named Joey Davis. So how are you feeling about that fight in your debut for Bellator?
I'm just trying to contain my excitement. I'm just trying to be calm, cool, and collected, but really my energy is like bursting out of my skin because I've worked my whole life for this moment, and it feels very good to be fighting someone like Joey Davis. For people that don't know who Joey Davis is, he was a four-time national champion. He's one of three men to ever go undefeated college wrestling. So he's a phenomenal competitor. He was signed to Bellator out of college. So he's had his entire career in Bellator. He's 7-0. I think he has 5 first-round finishes. To be honest, I think he's gotten some favorable matchups, like some layups to build his career, build some momentum. But they're bringing me in for his eighth Bellator fight, which is like, that's cool because they needed to find like a better opponent for him. To make this guy a better star, they had to bring in some talent. And here I am, ready to make my Bellator debut, and it's right away, the feature fight on the main card. It's phenomenal because the guy on deck after me is a former UFC world champion. That means a lot to me. I'm going to be 25 in a couple months, and it's just like this opportunity, had I gotten it a couple years ago, I might have blown it. I've got some losses on my record, but those losses were their experience. And experience is a phenomenal teacher because it teaches you what you don't want to learn. I've learned lessons about patience. I've learned lessons about my threshold as far as like getting submitted and all that stuff. So it's like I'm getting this opportunity at a good point in my career. I'm ready to capitalize.
Well, speaking of those losses, I know you fought some really good names in the past, like DeMarcus Jackson and Khalid Moita, and guillotine choke was the weapon of choice in both of those losses. So have you improved your jiu-jitsu game since that time?
Absolutely. Michael Hill, he must have studied some tape. He was going for that submission repeatedly. And again, from those losses I had, I've learned that where my threshold is. I've put myself in bad situations in training to get comfortable there, to be comfortable in uncomfortable positions. So Mike Hill, his only hope was that Hail Mary guillotine, but it did not work. He went for it several times, and he burned his arms out, and I controlled every second of the fight.
So final one from me then. You've already talked about Joey Davis and his impeccable wrestling credentials, and that's a formidable challenge, even though he's been given some fights that built him up to where he is now. So how do you feel you can hand him his first loss where others haven't?
So he, since his wrestling days, has worked on his striking considerably. He's got some spinning back kick knockout. He's got a flying knee. He's got an overhand right. I mean, so he has worked on his striking. He has not had to go to his wrestling. I feel like I'm going to punch him in his face, and he's going to realize that my striking is better than his, and he's going to have to go to plan B, which is get the takedown. But what's different between him and I is after high school, I went straight MMA. I've been in the gym working on mixed martial arts, working on wall wrestling, working on jiu-jitsu. So I'm ready to fight him in every way possible. And it'll be a good fight. I mean, my whole game plan is to make it a mean and nasty fight and punch him in his face and test him to his full limits.
All right. Well, we saw that with Michael Hill. We hope to see that again on Thursday. Best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Donald?
Bobby, I had no faith in you until I heard you start talking. I thought Joey had this in the bag for sure, but this is certainly a fight where if Bellator could pick the result, he would be the guy who gets the hand raised, right? On national TV, it's a big exposure fight for him. Are you enjoying coming in and maybe playing the role of spoiler a little bit?
100%. I have more experience than him, so it's interesting. I mean, I've got 5 more wins than he has. But yeah, like you said, he is the poster child. He's the guy they want to build up as a star. But it's not like they have zero faith in me. This is not a 1-fight deal. They've given me a 4-fight contract, and I'm going to let them know on fight number 1 that I am the guy to build up.
You mentioned that you have a 4-fight deal. I mean, is there anyone in the division? Because this win would immediately put you in the talks to be fighting the bigger names in the division, of course, because Joey is such a big name as it is. Is there anyone you would like? I see a smile on your face. I feel like maybe there is someone you're planning on calling out.
Well, there are no easy fights, so why not call out a big name? Why not call out MVP? It's just let's get the ball rolling. If I beat Joey Davis in a feature fight, well, why not step up to a co-main event in my next fight? Why not go overseas and fight MVP in his home base?
So not only do you want to fight MVP, you want to go when the crowds are allowed back, when we're all allowed to travel. You want to go to London, to the Wembley Arena. This is MVP's home, and that's where you want to take him on. That's the shot you're calling.
So one thing about fighting that has just been one of the things I've always wanted to do is travel the world, see the world, and have my fists take me around the planet. So why not go to London and fight him?
Matthew?
Hi, Bobby. Matthew Allen of Fight Night Picks. You just mentioned about how excited you are for this week, this being your Bellator debut. How are you kind of staying centered, not getting too excited or too caught up in the moment before this fight?
I've never dealt with nerves poorly. Like I've never puked in the locker room before a fight. I've just always expected to compete against good people. I'd credit my coaches growing up, my wrestling, my football coaches. I'm just generally a centered person. So fighting has the highest highs and the lowest lows. There's no feeling worse than losing in the cage. But one thing that my striking coach has talked to me about is Thai fighters will have hundreds of fights in their career. They don't win all the fights. They need to stay a little bit more in the center, not plateaued, but don't get too high and don't get too low. Just stay centered and everything will work out.
And you mentioned some of the losses that you've had and just the improvements that you've been able to make from those losses. Do you think that really does give you an edge going into this fight? Because Joey Davis, he's never actually met his equal to this point. Do you think the fact that you have had to rebuild yourself after losses will be a big advantage going into this one?
Absolutely. I have faced adversity in the form of losses. I was told by my dad to quit fighting after my first loss, but all it was he wanted to protect me from getting hit and that kind of thing. It's one thing about fighting is you're gonna get punched. One thing I've been telling myself about this fight is I'm let's go get some stitches. I know I'm gonna go get punched, so why not embrace it? One thing about my last fight is I was just genuinely smiling in the fight. And the commentator, CM Punk, said I looked like a psycho. But it's just enthusiasm. It's a fight. Bring it. Let's go. Joey Davis, his whole thing is a black ice. He's just the stoic kind of look. I'm not going to be too stoic tomorrow night. I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to be happy. Example, Manny Pacquiao, one of my favorite fighters growing up, genuinely just smiling, happy on the way to the cage or on the way to the ring because this is what we love. I love to compete. It's super cliche to say that I would be doing this if there was no money, but I did do this for no money for a while. I was not making, Joey Davis was signed to Bellator right away in his career. My first couple of fights, I was not making, I was making gas money type of fight money. So it's I've proven myself as a martial artist, and now I get to go get the opportunity to compete as a prize fighter.
All right, we'll take one or two more. Giancarlo?
Hi, Bobby. You mentioned before some of the goals you have past this fight, but coming into this one, do you think you have some sort of an advantage because you fought more recently than he did?
If you listen to someone like Dominic Cruz, he doesn't believe in ring rust. It's just about all the preparation in your mind. I don't think Joey Davis is going to have ring rust. So I've heard he's in training camp out in Big Bear. That's like a legendary kind of training experience. I would love to have an experience like that. Bring a team of guys out and be out in seclusion, out in the mountains. That sounds like some real Rocky movie stuff. But so he probably won't have ring rust, but it does feel great to have fought 2 months ago. I do feel like I won't have any jitters going into this because I competed recently, and it's gonna feel at home in the cage.
And final one for me, this whole pandemic has caused fighters to maybe have the reset button, maybe change the way they do things or learn something about themselves. What has this pandemic made you learn about yourself as a fighter?
It was like a little bit of a breath of fresh air, because I legitimately got outside the gym. I got outside. I was running, and I live out in the middle of nowhere, out on a dirt road, and I'm out there running. And there's a bison farm to the left. There's a Holstein farm to the right, and I just kind of. I got my mind clear. Like running is a fantastic thing for clearing your mind. So I just I put my energy into staying in shape, trying to improve my gas tank, my workload capacity, so that when the gyms did open up, I was not sucking wind. I was like right back on it, just like there had not been a day off.
All right. Thank you very much for the time, Bobby, and good luck the rest of the week. Looking forward to Thursday night.
Thanks, guys.